Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I call for a motion and a second to reconvene public meeting. Need a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion so carried. Marisol, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight?
I would love to. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And a moment of silence for our military. Thank you. Will the district clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Murphy? Mrs. Mallon?
Present.
Mrs. Kennedy? Dr. Adams?
Present.
Mrs. Augulus? Mrs. Napolitano-Furno?
Present.
Mr. Kolahifar?
Present.
Mr. Hauser?
Present.
Mrs. Poppy?
Present.
And myself, Ms. Kemp, the district clerk.
Okay, I'd like to call for a motion and a second to accept the minutes of the March 15th, 2022 Board of Ed meeting. Motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I call for a motion and a second to accept the minutes of the March 29th, 2022 Board of Ed meeting. Motion?
Motion.
Second? I'll second it. All in favor? Motion so carried. So now the best part of the evening is going to start. We're going to start with the robotics demonstration. Mr. Pope? And Dr. Lawson? Yes, here you are.
So thank you. Good evening, everyone. We are here to give you a little demonstration of the robot that was built for the 2022 First Robotics Competition. It was a competition called Rapid React, and you're going to see what our students were able to do with literally a box of parts that they receive and the robot that they built in order to meet this challenge of sending these balls through this very high hoop here. And they're in the actual competition, there was a shorter hoop, and then the robot had to in order to get the maximum number of points. So I'm going to introduce our advisors, Mr. Pope and Mr. Piero, and Mr. Pope is going to tell us the students that made this all happen.
How is everyone today? So, as Dr. Losing mentioned, these students spent a lot of time building, fabricating, coding, doing all the electrical work on this robot. Everything was built from scratch, and they performed at Hofstra University at the first robotics competition, SPBLI, and we made it all the way to the semifinals, which we're super proud of. And right now they're going to demonstrate the robot in action. They're going to set up some of these goals. Guys, if you want to come set them up real quick. And I'll just introduce some of the students that they're not all here today, but who has worked on this robot and achieved this pretty awesome task. So we have Matthew Donaldson, Ryan DePrima, Ryan Beatty, Andrew Russo, Michael O'Mara, Jack Dowdell, Ella Chalmers, her brother Michael Chalmers, Olivia Kofel, Bethany Ugenti, Sean Karavik, Var Spasa, Mike O'Donnell, and Sean Gordon, who are our drivers. So if you guys...
While you're loading up, I have a question.
Yes.
a lot of districts, they have a big business and an engineer might come in and work with the kids. Do we have that here in Connecticut, or is it all you?
It's all of us in the technology department and the students. We do have a former student that works for Zebra Technologies that helps the students with the coding. And he's been a big help for about 4 years now, Asher Kaufman. But other than that, it's all in-house, and the students do all the engineering and all the fabricating and wiring and everything. So.
I give you a lot more credit than the
Yeah,
other.
well, that's why,
right.
you know,
You do it yourselves.
when you show up to the competition, and Dr. Adams knows, you can tell which schools, have sponsors and a lot of adults doing the work, and for us to come in there knowing that the kids built this robot and spent all that time and energy and problem solving, and to do so well at the tournament, we're super proud of them. But that's kind of been our motto from the start, is that we want the kids to do as much as possible, and the proof is in the pudding,
Right.
and they get a lot more out of it when they're the ones actually doing their work.
I'm proud of them. Thank you.
All right, I think we're ready to roll.
So explain the game a little bit to us. How many points did you just score by doing that?
So the upper goal, every time we score into the upper goal, that's 2 points.
Okay.
The lower goal, which we don't set up, but if you score into the lower goal, that would be 1 point. And then the different goals, depending on how high you go, are different points.
Okay.
All right.
Every year they come up with a new game, and they try to kind of bring some type of sport element to it. But every year it's completely different, and they just give you a kit of parts with the basic chassis. But every team comes up with a completely different design in order to compete and to perform whatever task they want to do for that match. A lot of teams come to the tournament and they might necessarily be able to perform all of the aspects of the game. This year we were able to, but our robot actually had a different shooter than I think anybody else at the tournament, and we feel we were the most consistent shooter, where a lot of teams, their balls would bounce out once they could make it into the hoop, but it would bounce out. Ours would stay in consistently, and that's pretty much how, why we feel we were able to go so far in the tournament. Well, how it works is you have basically a 3-on-3. They call it an alliance, and it's random. So you get your matches, and you're paired up against 2 other schools from around New York, and this year there was teams from Turkey, China. So it's an international competition, and then they pretty much score you if you won the match, but also how you scored individually. So they keep all track. They come around and they give different awards for your design, and judges come around, but the actual competition is based on how you perform in the game itself. So, but there's been years where we might not have had a robot that performed this well in the tournament, but we got paired up with good teams throughout the tournament, so we were ranked higher. This year we felt like we were carrying the teams that we were paired up with, so and that's how we were able to get to the semifinals this year. Obviously, we fell short, but still a super, exactly.
So when
It
we
was-
saw you guys couldn't climb yet.
Well, we're going to show
You're
you.
gonna show us?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Here we go.
when we went to the class, this is the robot that we saw. You guys were shooting, but it wasn't done yet. You guys.
No, when we were demonstrating to you, we just had the prototypes. We didn't have the control system programmed yet. So it's now you see, because I remember you asking like, well, how does it get the balls? It's like, well, you'll see. We're gonna say. But
You come a long way. That
yeah, it
came
came a
out
long
great.
way. Well, that was just a week. We knew we had everything in ready to roll. So we just didn't have everything quite programmed yet. But here's the finished product. So
It came out great.
You guys want to climb?
Good job, guys.
Yeah.
That robot's about 110 pounds, for anybody that's wondering. This was towards the end game component of the match, where teams had 30 seconds to basically climb into this area and get as many points as what they call the end game.
I think you guys did a fantastic job. Seeing it at inception and then seeing it now in action and making it to the semifinals, you should be very proud.
Thank you guys for allowing us to demonstrate. We appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
So, Mr. Pope, how many classes do you teach in robotics? Part of this is the robotics club, but you also have curriculum that you teach year-round. How many different classes and what do those look like?
So we have Robotics 1, which is a basic robotics class where we use more of the FTC component, which is from Pittsco, a Tetrix robot that all the students build, and they're able to make smaller robots and build mechanisms upon that. And then we have the Robotics 2 course, which they build the kit of parts for FRC. Last year, they built a kind of a go-kart that they can actually sit in and drive around. This year, they helped out in building this robot quite a bit, and then they would stay after school, and the club would come, so it was a group effort. So, but yeah, the program's been growing. We have more and more kids signing up every year, and we're looking forward to next year and seeing what the competition is. And all right, thank you guys, I appreciate it. So in the past, you had a time constraint where it had to be done 6 weeks, you had to stop building, even if you finished it or not. They stopped doing that 2 years ago, but because our tournament was at a certain date, we stopped it.
May I just grab a picture of the robotics team with the robot, Mr. Pope and Mr. Puro? Thank you for coming this evening. And now I'd like to invite Mr. Kassane to the podium to introduce Mr. DeFairs and our virtual enterprise presentation.
Mr. Kassane is the district's Director of Social Studies and Business.
Thank you very much. It's a tough act to follow there, Mr. Pope, so thank you for that. This year, I've had the opportunity to work with our virtual enterprise students. It's my first year in charge of the business department, and you know, in my role, I don't get to work with a lot of students, but the one group that I have gotten the pleasure to work with a lot this year is Mr. Jaffairs and our virtual enterprise students. And I don't know how much you guys know about VE. It's all about the kids, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you what they've done. They're going to take care of that themselves. It is a complete, you know, Mr. Jaffairs turns the curriculum, turns the course over to them, and they run a business. It's a virtual enterprise, which is exactly what it sounds like. And this year we've had probably our most successful company in the last, 15, 20 years at a minimum. And that's led by the two people that are here tonight, our CEO, Samantha Ortiz, and our COO, Aiden Mallon. So I'm going to turn it over to them. Absolutely incredible kids, absolutely incredible year that they've had, and I'll let them kind of take it from here. So thank you, guys.
Mike?
We just have a quick question. How are we going to flip the slides? Okay, thank you.
So while you're waiting for it to boot up, what made you choose Virtual Enterprise as a course?
That's a great question. So ever since I've been taking business electives since like the 10th grade, I realized that since this is like the main course for business, I was really interested in it, and I could see all the kids having fun, so I really wanted to take it and learn more about business. Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Samantha Ortiz, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer.
My name is Aiden Mallon. I'm the Chief Operating Officer. So a little bit about Virtual Enterprise. It is a simulated business class. There are over 7,500 firms across 42 different countries. It is a course only offered to seniors, and it's a double period class worth 9 college credits through Farmingdale. It is the capstone to the Business Academy as well.
And so a little bit about what we do. So we have 6 different departments, and each different department is assigned different tasks. So we do things such as create a business plan as a whole class, as well as fully functioning virtual business, market and communicate with customers, develop an e-commerce website, as well as acting as consumers in the virtual enterprise marketplace.
So here's an example of our bank account for our firm. Funds are transferred electronically through a banking system that links firms worldwide. And this is basically like the main thing for our accounting team. It's a way for us to process payroll that we pay our employees bi-weekly. We can pay our utilities and rent throughout this place as well. And this is how we collect our revenue.
So for this year, we decided to do a retail bakery industry, and we decided on the name Baked Heaven as our firm. And so a little bit about some things we do differently. So as a management team, me and Aiden really found that creating an agenda every day was most effective. So on the left side, that's like a typical agenda I would make every day. And so it's separated between each department. And then on the right-hand side, it's categorized between color and department. So each department knows what period and what time like certain tasks are due.
So like Sam said, we like to stay organized, and throughout the year we felt that we wanted something that all of our departments can work with together. So we decided to create this workflow chart where each time a product is made, our marketing team will look at it, they'll make the product idea, and they'll check it along to us. And then each time we check it, we give it to the next department. And we found this to be useful as each department knew exactly where everything was, and it just flowed throughout the class very easily.
And then this year, we also participated in 2 business plans nationally, and we actually advanced and became the top 20 firms on Long Island. So on the right-hand side, those are the first 4 pages of the exec. And we did a 10-minute presentation followed by a 5-minute Q&A session with judges.
So this is our trading day. A big part of Virtual Enterprise is the in-person trade show, but unfortunately this year we were unable to do that. So we decided to host our own trading day to try to get Big Tevin's name out there. It was online, and we invited 19 different firms to join us. On the left, an example of our flyer that was made by our marketing team. And then on the right is an example of the schedule that had been made, where when each firm was going to meet with another firm, and it was just very organized, and we were very happy with the way it came out.
So as well as the business plan, we also competed in many national competitions, and some competitions we're pretty proud of is we actually advanced the top 10% in the elevator pitch nationwide, as well as honorable mention for the national branding competition by our marketing team and the e-commerce website, which is shown on the right by our IT department. And that's all. Thank you for listening. We are open for questions.
How much money did you make on cookies?
So far, we made $2.1 million.
So I understand all of you are seniors. So having this experience and exposure, how many of you are going into college and majoring either marketing, accounting, business class, and business management?
So out of the 19 employees that we have at our firm, I believe about 16 are going into it for business.
And do you feel that having this class helped prepare you to maybe get an idea or a general sense of what marketing is, owning a business, being CFO of a business? And which pieces of it did you like or gravitated towards? Because I love the accounting piece, but I'm not so great at the marketing piece. So did everybody have like something that they felt they were more talented in versus another area, or maybe more of interest in another area versus another?
Yes, so basically, each of our departments obviously only work with what they're given, but we have staff meetings, and that's like Virtual Enterprise's way of doing like cross-training. So each department will present what they've been doing throughout like the last couple of months, and that way someone in marketing will get an understanding for something in accounting, if that's something that they'd be interested in still. But each employee was placed in a position that they had wanted at the beginning of the year, and that way that they gather all the resources that they need, and yeah.
When we came in to see you guys present, you guys did an outstanding job. Me, Marisol, and Brian were all blown away. It was incredible, and what they did is they had all the students getting up, and each one had a different phase of what they did. This one was taking care of the finances, this one, it was incredible. And thank you very much for giving us each a box of your goodies on the way out. That was very nice. Great job.
I got
Thank
assaulted
you.
on the way out. Stealing the cookies and donut.
Did you go into Manhattan this year or no? Did they go in? The
No,
trade
all
show?
the trade shows were canceled. They
They were
were done
canceled?
virtually.
How'd you do it virtually?
So we had our IT department, they set up a Zoom link, so on the Virtual Enterprise website, you could like enter, so like customers could enter as well as other Virtual Enterprise kids, and they could join our Zoom link, and then they would be directed into a breakout room with one of our sales associates.
Hi, thank you guys for having me. So to answer that question, they set up what they call a virtual trading floor, and they create a virtual trading floor on the Virtual Enterprise International portal, and we set up links to the virtual trading floor. So when students go in, they can actually browse the virtual trading floor, and all of the company's logos and doorways, virtual doorways are there. And then you go into their virtual trade booths, where you go into the virtual lobby, and there is a person working the virtual lobby, and then on the back end, we have breakout rooms where we send, Mr. Jones from Smithtown, and we say, we'd like to set you up with one of our salespeople. It's all them. They're doing it. But they, and then we have specific breakout rooms with salespeople in them. salespeople will then partner with marketing people, accounting people, and they work in teams that way.
Is there an advertising piece to it?
There's a huge advertising piece. Yeah, I mean, they create advertising going into the trade show. They create advertising for that day. In the case, actually, the way our virtual, we hosted one. That was our idea. We were very disappointed that we were supposed to do a presentation, or we were supposed to be involved in a trade show at Post, and that was canceled because of the times we're in right now. We couldn't do anything in person, so they decided they want to do host their own. So we had one, and we were recognized by VE for it, and they did a tremendous job. One of the questions before, I think it's kind of interesting. You guys asked about what they learn and how many are going to school for business. What we find is this helps most of them tremendously, but there are also, and it kind of reassures them what they want to do. But there have been a few through the years that come through and say, what I learned from this class is I do not want to be behind a desk. Okay? So it works either way. I think for the most part, they got a great experience in the class. I think it's a great building block for what they want to do in college. But in some cases, it opens students' eyes and said, you know what, maybe I can't be behind a desk. Maybe I don't want to work in marketing. I thought I wanted to be an accountant. After this experience, there's no way. Or that typically happens in sales. We have people that, by the way, you guys said, we put them, there's an extensive interviewing process. And these guys, along with myself and the board of directors, which are other business teachers, they find the best fit within the company for, not everybody doesn't get what they want. So everybody interviews for positions, and then we put them in the best position where we feel they will be successful, and not everybody is always happy. Okay? So they learn from being in those positions. Maybe they learn it's a great thing for them. Maybe they learn it's not. So, it's like I said, it's the best thing I ever got into since I've been involved in education. And this year has been the best year we've ever had. We've never had leaders like these guys. Never. I mean, we've had some good ones too, but they're amazing.
Thank you.
I
Thank
happen
you
to
very
agree
much.
with you because you're probably saving their parents thousands and thousands of dollars
I
to
was thinking the
realize
same thing.
that's not something I want to be in, or yeah, that's something I want to be in. So my question is, so what was the cost of good and what was the profit margin on it?
The profit margin on,
So you're selling your product. What was the cost of the product and your profit margin?
I believe, I don't know that, the accountants are supposed to know that. I believe it's 35%, and it's interesting that you just asked that, because what we've been trying to do to motivate employees, it's the end of the year, let's face it, it's the end of the year, they're seniors. How do we motivate them to work till our fiscal year ends, which is in April 30th? We said we want to do a profit sharing type of situation. So we've been banging our heads against the wall, trying to get that information from accounting, find out where we are compared to what we projected, so we can give profit sharing bonuses back to the employees. And we're still waiting on the answer, I think, right? I think we've.
So I know Bob is going to kill me.
How much was it?
So I know Bob is going to kill.
What was it, 35% profit? Something like that?
I know Bob is going to kill me, but maybe one day, Bob, you might want to stop over and say hello for a little while.
I would love that opportunity.
Bob, they have cookies.
Oh, that was great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Great job, guys. My favorite. That was enjoyable. I'm sure you were. I know. You're supposed to know about it.
Yeah.
They gave us cookies and they gave us donuts and all that stuff. Yes, it was very good. It was really nice what they did. It was great visiting them in class, too.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, 8 or 14.
Thank you, guys. so that they could hear.
NASA TechRise Future Engineers. Mr. Halloran.
And Dr. Losing is going to come to the podium to
Didn't we go to this
introduce
class too?
Mr. Halloran
This was the class we
and
went to
his
too?
team.
Yes, you did definitely see this, and I don't believe Mr. Halloran is here this evening, so I'll try to do my best to explain. The NASA TechRise Student Challenge is hosted by future engineers, and it invited teams of 6th to 12th grade students to research an idea and design and propose an experiment for flights on suborbital rockets or high-altitude balloons. The contest was designed to inspire a deeper understanding of Earth's atmosphere, space exploration, coding, and electronics, as well as a broader understanding of the value of test data. The challenge provided students with the opportunity to engage with NASA and technology communities and expose them to potential careers in science, technology, and space exploration fields. A team of students composed of 10th and 11th graders from Connecticut High School were awarded one of only 17 high-altitude balloon awards during the winner's announcement in January. Their project proposal was a device capable of collecting microbial samples from various altitudes using a high-altitude balloon flight. In addition, they proposed using atmospheric sensors to measure and monitor the conditions present at the various altitudes that they were being sampled. Their end goal is to test their device's capabilities and use the information gained as a starting point for a future device that could one day explore the atmosphere of Venus for signs of life. The team received a prize box which contained a 3D printed box, which you saw when you visited our science research classroom, and the box has to be loaded onto the high altitude balloon, and in addition to the box that will be loaded into the balloon, the prize pack contained a microcontroller with test code, user interface, and the device, as well as a mission-specific components for the Raven high-altitude balloon. Additionally, the team received a check for $1,500 to fund the building and testing of the prototype. The winning teams also have access to technical support and office hours with future engineers, experts when they build their experiment through an interactive website. The team has attended webinars with engineers from NASA, Raven, and the future engineer staff, and they're also having individual consultations during the course of the project. So let me introduce our students. We have Varsh Basa, we have Sean Kovarik, Diego Pineda, Nick Murata, and Bishal Das. So boys, you want to come up? So these are our future NASA employees potentially. And I give a huge shout out to NASA because NASA has always done things to support students and to encourage them to further their education in STEM fields. And I think we added a few more, so we may have some students that will get a certificate later. No, Anthony's not here. Sean? Right, we'll get them for you, don't worry.
So can we hear from the boys? Because I want to hear about this program that they enjoyed or what they got out of it.
They would like to hear from what you've gotten from the project. So would anybody like to speak to that?
Don't be shy, I don't bite.
What I've learned from the project is, what's it called? It's my first time coding for something, and like other than back in 8th grade middle school where we'd done like simple projects with Arduino, this is like a new experience, and I've learned to actually enjoy coding for once because I've never done it before, and just that's basically what I learned, something new that I enjoy doing.
So what Vishal said, that's the same thing with me. I learned coding too, and I learned how to manage like others, like deadlines and stuff, and I learned how to research too.
I'm kind of the leader of the biological part of the project. So one of the main things I learned was how you could how do I say this? Every piece of life is so different because before I only did DNA extractions on ants, and now we're going to get a chance to do fungal DNA and bacterial DNA, and it's so much different. So that's just what I've learned from that part of the project.
I learned a lot since I've joined the NASA TechRise about how, like, that there is apparently DNA in the atmosphere and stuff, and how, like, our experiment that we designed is going to be taking parts of that and we're going to be analyzing it. So I think that's pretty cool. And I never joined NASA, I would have never known any of this stuff about how our atmosphere works. So it's pretty cool.
That's like, it's like next year, I think. Yeah, we would also like to add that like we learn how to like plan stuff too, and I also learn how to lead the group, so it's fun. I hope so.
If you're not graduating, I'm hoping that you'll do this.
Okay, boys, go get your picture taken.
So I believe the program is in its 9th year because my son started as the first class of science research. He graduated last year from college, so that's 8 years. So is that correct, Dr. Losing? We're going in our 9th year? We're going in our 9th year of science research. Yeah.
And I think that's the great part, that so many of our graduates are majoring in science, graduating and going on to doctoral and MD, PhD programs, and that's something we're very proud of.
Mr. Mallory, it's your turn.
Good evening. I'd like to thank the board and the central administration for allowing us to do our seasonal recognition of the outstanding athletes and/or teams who have qualified for the states. As I've always said, if we were to honor all the accolades and all the sports per season, we would be here all night. So it's a special group once again tonight. Before we get to that group, I would like to say we had an outstanding winter in general. We once again won multiple individual league championships, some individual county championships. Our participation numbers are through the roof, which is always great. And we had a very exciting and positive season. Academically, we had 257 athletes receive the Scholar Athlete Award of maintaining a 90 average or better. And we had 3 teams qualify as Scholar Athlete teams, meaning 75% of the roster had a 90 average or better. So once again, thank you. Great job by the kids and the coaches. So it's nice to see we're trying to get it done in the classroom at the same time as trying to achieve athletically. So I'd like to start with our wrestling assistant coach, who we had the honor of naming Coach Melfi. Come on up, Coach Anthony Melfi. So we had the honor of naming the wrestling room, thanks to the Board of Education, in the name of Coach Bill Santoro, one of the most outstanding wrestling coaches in the state, and Coach Melfi as well is on that wrestling room now for all eternity. Coach Melf.
I would like to thank the board and central administration for having us here tonight to honor the athletes. All right, a lot of things go on that don't involve the athletes. I'm glad we're here to honor the athletes and students. Just a little quick about the team this year. These 3 gentlemen were team leaders throughout the year. Since they were freshmen, our team has been league champions for the 4 years they were here in high school and on the wrestling team. And a big part big part of why we've been successful is because of these young men. I guess I'll let John step forward. John was our 285-pounder this year. He had 32 wins this year, and 17 of them were by pin. And he placed second in Suffolk County and qualified for the states this year. All right. Also, second John, step forward. John Bobach recorded 34 wins this year, with 21 of them being pins. He placed third in Suffolk County, which for the first time they qualified 1, 2, and 3, and then he took sixth in the state. One of the most exciting matches this year is when he came back and beat a guy that pinned him in the county tournament, and he beat him in the state tournament. All right, and then Christian has been with us for 5 years. He had 31 wins this year, 16 of them by pin. Placed second in Suffolk County this year, and 2 years ago, he also placed in the county. Unfortunately, these gentlemen missed out last year of a county tournament because of the pandemic, and no doubt that they all would have been all-county. Christian is also a member of an elite club in Suffolk County. It's called the Century Club. Christian has 123 wins as a Connecticut wrestler. We wish them best of luck in what they do in the future. And they're a big part of why we've been so successful. Thank you.
Great job, great job.
It's a good question. I'm still actually deciding on where I'm going, so I made it down to top 3. So I got University of Buffalo, East Stroudsburg University, that's in PA, and I also got the small school, Rhode Island College, obviously in Rhode Island. And I don't know, I'm really excited to now explore college after being with these amazing coaches. Luckily, they got to shape me into the man I am today. And I'm excited to now explore and take those footsteps and maybe one day become a coach, because I'm trying to become a phys ed teacher and maybe come back here one day. So we'll see.
Hey, are you going to wrestle at college? Are you going to wrestle at college or no? Yes. Perfect.
My name is John Bobach, and I really want to wrestle in college. I just don't know where I want to go yet, and hopefully I can find out soon.
All right, my name is John Faramola. I'm not going to wrestle my first 2 years of college because I'm going to go to Suffolk. I'm really focusing on my major right now. But after that, I'm probably going to go to East Stroudsburg to wrestle because they don't have a heavyweight right now. So see what goes on there.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
By the way, Coach Santoro, sorry he couldn't be here tonight, but he had a very special trip with his wife that's been scheduled for 2 years, and they were finally able to go. And I told Coach Melfi he could speak briefly about the team, but in typical modest fashion, he did not mention that wrestling was 13-1 this year. They were the dual meet league champions, unbeaten in league competition, 14th league title in past 18 years, league tournament champions. They had 13 all-league wrestlers, 6 league champions, 6 all-county county wrestlers, tied the school record, and then obviously you just met the 3 state qualifiers, and Ian was the all-state wrestler. So fantastic season for the wrestling team.
Amazing job, very good. Congrats, boys.
Awesome.
So our next coach, who you all know very well, our head swimming coach, Alex Ciccolone. Come on up.
Thank you, Mr. Mallory, and thank you to the board and central administration. It's always an honor to be here representing our student athletes, and congratulations to the Robotic Club and NASA. Awesome job, guys. All right, so this year, our swim team had an amazing year. In my 26 years of coaching here at Connecticut, probably one of my most memorable. So I'd like to introduce some special young men. Tristan Weingarten, come on up. Eddie Smith, come on up. Jack Milligan, and Declan Duran. As I said, to say I'm proud is a tremendous understatement. These young men were part of our 200 and 400 freestyle relay. This year they took second overall in the 200 and the 400 in the county meet. So in Suffolk County, second overall. These young men were also named all-county, all-state, which means they were top 20 in the state, as well as all Long Island, which means they are the second fastest team on Long Island of the whole island, actually. So they are top 3. It's been an amazing run. As I said, these guys, we talked about goals in the beginning of the season, and for them to achieve every single goal they set out in the season was an absolute amazing thing to see. These young men obviously made the state meet, where they placed 4th overall in the entire state in the 400 freestyle relay, 7th overall in the entire state in the 200 freestyle relay, and the best part is we brought home 4 school records. We brought a 14-year-old record in the 200 and the 400 with these guys. Tristan Weingarten, step up, also broke 2 individual records, the 50 freestyle record as well as the 100 freestyle record individual. So a total of 4 school records that we broke. In addition, we placed, as a high school with over 80 high schools in the entire state, we placed 7th overall as a school, as a high school. So very proud of that. And honestly, when this comes down to goals, it's almost scary what they can do. The best part about this is Tristan, 10th grade, Eddie, 11th grade, Jack, 10th grade, and Declan, 8th grade. So it will be a force to reckon with next couple of years. They have their eyes set on a state championship, and there's no doubt in my mind that they will achieve that. So congratulations, gentlemen. Very proud of you. Thank you.
Last but not least, I'd like to bring up a very good, exciting, young, outstanding coach. Coach White, come on up. Shelby White, coach of our boys track team. Oh, there he is. I saved him for last because with Coach Alex, as we all know, and Coach Melv, you're talking about 2 very seasoned, outstanding coaches, veterans, whose teams have been consistent for a long time. Because they put in the time and they put in the work. When I first came to Connecticut, I heard all about The girls' track program, which is outstanding. We have a great veteran coach, Mr. Crowley. The girls had another outstanding season, but I've watched, I didn't hear as much about the boys. It was always the girls are a little stronger than the boys and so on and so forth. But this young guy here has turned this program around. They are exciting to watch. They are on the tops of Suffolk County right now. They have a shot at winning the spring championship, and I'm not trying to put too much pressure on you, am I? But it is cool to see a program turned around, and that's what Coach White's doing, so there you go.
It's all right to take on the pressure because I put the same pressure on the kids, but they handle it, so it's all right. My name is Shelby White. I just started coaching the boys track team 5 years ago in 2018, and well, this being my 5th season with the boys, it's finally like I'm at that point where it's a whole new set of fresh faces, and every year has been a completely different ball game as far as how we've been competitive, where we've been competitive, because like Coach said, we haven't always been completely on the map. We've always just been one of those schools that did okay, and I plan to change that, and I plan to continue to change that. And the athletes that we're honoring today that went to states are not just, I could sit here and list off a 50-person list of kids that did remarkable things this season and the past few seasons. I'd like to start with, I think he had to go, but Aiden Mallon has,
He's
is
here.
he here? Yeah, get over here. Aiden Mallon, who you've already seen is exceptional off the track with Virtual Enterprise. He's also, I believe, the president of the National Business Honor Society here at the school. And since his freshman year, has been our fastest sprinter in his age group. 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. And like most of the athletes, has had seasons that he wasn't, or had a season due to the pandemic that he lost. But he's always been one of those kids, like I said, fastest for his age group every year. And with that being said, he's somebody that I tease all the time, but it's because he has the leadership qualities that a lot of other kids may not have. And we go back and forth with one another, but that's because he's the glue that keeps a lot of these kids together. Aiden was part of the 4x2 county championship winning team that represented Section 11 at the state meet this year, and also at the Nike Indoor Nationals. This 4x2 comprised of Aiden Mallon, Dylan Thomason, Giovanni Thompson, and Jermaine Thompson. Was an absolute roller coaster this season, watching them compete at every meet, and through the ups and downs, mistakes made that we've further improved upon, and it was something we were hopeful for, but when it came down to the county championship, they dominated the 4x2 relay and won that in an outstanding fashion, passing 2 guys in the very last lap to win that, represent us at the state meet, where they took 10th place, where they also had a new school record in the event at 1 minute 32 seconds and 67 milliseconds, which improves by over a second of the school record that we previously had. And like I said, Mallon's the glue that keeps those guys together. Some of those other guys I mentioned, Dylan Thomason. Dylan's an athlete that only does the winter season with us, the indoor season. He's a baseball athlete, a tremendous one at that, during the spring. Due to his training mentality all season long, he's one of the most versatile athletes that we have on the team. And you could see that everywhere he goes, from soccer to track to baseball. He, along with Aiden, is one of those guys that just keeps everybody in line, keeps them in check, and keeps them motivated to continue getting better every time we compete. And he wasn't able to be here today along with the other guys, unfortunately, but Dylan's a tremendous athlete for us. And then we have our 2 brothers, Giovanni Thompson and Jermaine Thompson, who are, Giovanni is a sophomore right now. Jermaine is a junior. Giovanni was, being a sophomore this year, he's very raw talent. He did a tremendous job being as young as he is, sticking with these guys all season long. He was named the Long Island Sophomore Champion in the 300-meter dash this season, which obviously being that fast in the 300 led to him being one of our faster guys on the 200 as well. And he's a talented young athlete on a team that you're going to be hearing his name a lot more over the next 2 years, I promise you that. And then we have his brother Jermaine, who has been a force to be reckoned with for the past year and a half. This is only his third season with us. He joined us last spring as a sophomore. He did indoor for the first time ever, coming from Jamaica. They never had an indoor season. And now he's with us in the spring once again. Just a little bit about him. He competed in solo events at the Nike Indoor Nationals and at the state meet. He qualified in the 55-meter dash, 300-meter dash, and the 4x200 meter relay. All three events he qualified to compete for Section 11 at the state meet. We weren't expecting that. He actually dropped out of the 300 to focus on the other two because it was bearing to do all three events. And he did a tremendous job. This season alone, school record in the 55-meter dash, school record in the 300-meter dash, and with the rest of these guys, school record in the 4x200 meter dash. And last year, in his first season with us, school record in the 100-meter dash, 200-meter dash, and with the relay team, 4x100 meter dash. So he now holds 6 school records with us. And he's looking to improve upon that. As well as these 4 guys that went to states, we were the only team that brought 7 athletes to the state meet. We had the 4 athletes here. We had Emmanuel Parabolos, a junior with us, who was an alternate for this relay team. And the only reason he was an alternate was because he's so versatile for us. He was our best 600-meter dash runner, and he's also currently our best 400-meter dash runner. So his talents were used on the 4x400-meter dash relay, which they were the large school county champions and league champions this year as well. So we had a lot of success there. And then 2 other athletes in the field events. We had Paul Fioravante, another baseball athlete who only joins us in the winter. So he is a high jumper for us, very versatile. He's a great jumper, great runner. He was lucky enough to go all county, taking 3rd place in the high jump this season. The 2nd place guy had to drop out due to qualifying in different events. That gave Paul the opportunity to compete at states, where he did a phenomenal job. He jumped 5'8" at the state meet. He's a 5'10" jumper, and all season he went back and forth. He was also the league and large school county champion in the event. And then finally, Connor Hurley. Connor Hurley is a pole vaulter for us, represented as well as Connecticut Section 11 in the state meet this year. And he's somebody who, over the pandemic, took training very seriously. He probably gained about 50 pounds of muscle. If you've ever seen the kid, you'll know what I'm talking about. He has been vaulting with us since the 9th grade year. And just a little recap on pole vaulting here at Connecticut since I started. We've always been very decent in the event. I actually pole vaulted here myself and once held the school record. And Connor is somebody that he represents Connecticut pole vaulting in a great way. Since 2019, we have not had a single season where we haven't sent a pole vaulter to the state meet, indoors and out. So that's 6 seasons in a row where we've had athletes go to the state meet to represent Connecticut. And in 2 of those seasons, we actually had 2 pole vaulters represent us there. Last year, we didn't send anybody to the state meet, but we had the undefeated county champion in the indoor and outdoor pole vault, who now holds the school record as well. So this is an event that we take seriously and that we're doing a great job with, and Connor is somebody that's just keeping the reputation alive. And we actually have 2 of our youngest vaulters in the room right now, Bishal Das and Nick Murata, who are here with the last group, who are right now the number 1 and number 2 sophomore pole vaulters in the county and top 10 in the state for their age as well. So we have a bright future ahead of us there. I don't want to keep on going on. Like I said, I could name off a lot of kids here. But thank you for your time. And yeah.
Hi again. Thank you. My name's Aiden Mallon, and I'm actually going to be running track at Dominican College in the fall coming up. So, yeah.
What are you studying?
I will be majoring in business administration with a minor in sports management.
Thank you for all your support.
Thank you so much.
Now we're going to move on to student government report. Do we have anyone here this evening? No? Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for coming and congrats.
So Jesse, can we add a second public comment? I noticed there's only one on this agenda.
Sure, if the board would like to. Yeah, there was only currently a public comment on the proposed budget because in the past, for the past 8 years, that's the way it was done.
There's not that many people here tonight, so if anyone would like to speak, I'd like to give them the opportunity.
Is there a third consensus for that?
Sure.
Where on the agenda would you like to put it?
Right now.
I'm okay with that, Brian.
No, but I think let them, because people may want to leave if you let them speak.
Anyone like to come up and speak? You can come up now. Well, there's only one person, right? We know it. Who is that?
Is there going to be another comment on the budget? I actually had two comments. So this, okay, all right. All right, so hold
The
on.
budget one is next. This is going to be regular public comment. If anybody has anything they'd like to speak about, this would be the time.
Okay, all right. And so I actually wanted to go back to the July 13th, 2021 meeting. I know this is a while ago. But at that time, Dr. Adams stated that she didn't know what CRT was until, she said, it reared its ugly head earlier that year. So I would assume that she's against critical race theory in the schools. She said she'd be very shocked and disappointed to learn it was taught here because it wasn't in the New York State curriculum at that time. And she did mention that somebody, honestly, I couldn't remember the name, it sounded like she said Mr. Hussein, but I'm really not sure, was going to dig into the curriculum for K-12 to see if there was anything here. Do we know if that's been done since then? I know this was a while ago. Somebody was going to dig into the curriculum to make sure critical race
Excuse
theory
me?
is not here.
Could you just step back just a little
Is it
bit?
really
The
loud?
sound's really loud.
got it.
Thank you so much.
We couldn't hear you. That mic is, so if you just step back a little and then start, yeah, because we can't understand what you're saying.
All right. Is this better from here? That's better? Okay. All right, I was going back to the July 13th, 2021 meeting, it's a while ago, where Dr. Adams stated that about critical race theory, she wasn't sure what it was, and so and she had said it had an ugly head. That she didn't know what it was until it reared its ugly head earlier that year. So I would assume she's against critical race theory, it would not be in the schools, and that somebody by the name of Mr. Hussein was mentioned. That's what it sounded like on the video, but I'm not sure if that was the correct name, that this person was going to dig into the curriculum to look into it. Do we know if that's been done to make sure that nothing's here? Do you remember that?
So the name of the person that you're speaking about is Mr. Kassain.
Okay.
He was the brand new director of social studies and business. He was just up here.
That's what I was
before.
thinking it was him. Okay. Do we know if he's looked into the curriculum, the social studies curriculum?
So I actually couldn't tell you that. I would have to speak with him about it because I
Okay.
think at that point it would have been Mr. Middleman who sat down with him and had that conversation. So I can certainly have that conversation. I know you and I are going to have a conversation in about a
Yes.
week and a half. I should be able to bring you some information at that point.
Okay, I appreciate that. The other thing that I wanted to bring up was at that same meeting, Jackie had said something about brain pop. She had looked at it, and she was very concerned about what she saw.
which I understand. And also it was stated that, and you had said, Dr. Adams, that if it's not part of the curriculum, New York State curriculum, it shouldn't be acceptable to kids. And we were going to have Mrs. Pulliam research Brain Pop to remove any unacceptable parts. My concern about that is you had said that it was not part of the New York State curriculum, but I see what's in NICED under the DEI CRSE framework, and a few weeks ago at the March 22nd meeting, I was told that wasn't implemented yet. So did she go through the Brain Pop curriculum? Do we know about that? And she removed the inappropriate parts?
That I do know about. That was done by our Director of Technology. There was quite a few districts who were asking Brain Pop to give us feedback on some of the lessons that they created, and they actually changed the approval process for people to be able to access the videos. So videos that were in the New York State curriculum are fully accessible, and ones that are kind of skirting different topics that would not necessarily be central to the curriculum have a different layer of approval that has to go through an administrator first.
Okay, okay. The other thing I wanted to mention that was brought up at that meeting is that a company, which you said DEI is not here, but there is an organization named DEI, which stands for Distinctive Educators Institute. Is that correct, Mrs. Sarah Cordova? Is it Cordova? Does she still work with us, with our students in literacy?
She does not.
She doesn't? Oh, what's that?
Hi, she does not.
Oh, she doesn't?
And her company name carried that acronym DEI, but you're correct. The full title of the company name was Distinctive Educators Institute. She has since changed the name of her company. I think with the onslaught of press and public information about DEI, she has changed her company name. She doesn't have an affiliation, nor does she have an association with DEI, the way that it's, you know, we're talking about it in this sense.
Okay, okay, because when I did research on this, I did find that they have a Facebook page called Literacy Matters. Maybe that's the new name that you know of. Apparently they were working with ConnectWise since as early as 2016, because I did see posts about it. My concern when I saw that was that even through there, they had mentor texts to advance social justice in our classrooms, things that were actually presentations done by Mrs. Cordova. This was during the time that we had them in our schools. They had multiple posts promoting social justice in the classrooms, and they would even accompany their posts with a little BLM fist emoji. I mean, it's just an emoji, but it does have meaning. Also, on June 2nd, 2020, they advertised a BLM rally. I mean, at that time, they were part of our school. So that was really concerning to me, because I was told DEI is not here, even though I know it had the acronym meant something different for that particular organization. But all of this is DEI, which is essentially critical race theory, and that was that organization in our school. My other last thing that I wanted to ask about is that something else that was brought up at that meeting was from the Office of Child and Family Services. It was stated that by April 2022, which is now, they're going to have to update your training for mandated reporters to include protocols to reduce implicit bias in the decision-making process. Now that it is April 2022, has that happened, and can you elaborate on what implicit bias has to do with decision-making? Why are we doing that? Is this a regulation we have to do from the Office of Child and Family Services? Because that sounds a lot like CRT to me.
So there are certain trainings that we must do. That is not one of them. So this is the first I'm hearing about it. So I'm going to look into whether the Office of Child and Family Services, we do have to come in and teach us to look for children who might have been abused in their homes, so that we can make sure that we are reporting to CPS and keep our children safe. That is a mandatory training that we do through that office, but that is the only mandatory training that we must do through that office.
Okay, okay. My concern was the mention of implicit bias in there, because that's CRT, so that was very concerning. Okay, thank you very much.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak this evening? Okay, let's move on to budget adoption.
There'll be a budget comment after.
Okay to start, Mr. Kennedy?
All right, good evening. Welcome to the 2022-23 upcoming school year, the proposed budget. This is the final budget presentation. There is a resolution on the agenda tonight for the board to adopt the budget. Thank you, Jesse. Once again, all these slides you're about to see right now will be posted on the district website. I know the screen is small and it's difficult to see a lot of these numbers, so I'll just try to talk in some specific terms here so you'll understand what the slides are, but you'll be able to see this tomorrow afternoon up on the district website. On the screen right now is the budget calendar that we started off with in January. I highlighted in yellow where we are right now, which is the actual adoption of the proposed budget by the Board of Education. I also highlighted another line, which is the state legislative budget, the school aid final estimate. As I understand, the state has not officially adopted the state's budget. However, they have agreed in principle to adopt the governor's executive state aid proposals, which came out in January. So we are going to go off of those numbers, which are actually posted on the New York State Department of Education website. Below the yellow is May 10th will be the public budget hearing. And then a week later on May 17th will be the actual budget vote as well as the school board election. Next slide, please. This one-page summary, a lot of numbers, a lot of colors, and I'm just going to highlight a few items here. Once again, you'll be able to see this tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow later on in the day up on the website. So just in summary here, our proposed expenditure budget, there's an increase of 1.89%. That's from when we first started discussing the budget in January till now. That's actually a decrease of $3,824,137 or 1.88%. If you compare the budget that's proposed right now to the current school year budget, the increase is 1.89% or $3,839,169. The middle part of this slide shows the various sources of revenues that will be used to actually fund the expenditures, and that's everything from miscellaneous revenue to our appropriated fund balance and the use of our various reserves from workers' comp reserve, employee benefit, employee retirement, teachers' retirement, unemployment reserve, and then we have our largest source of funding, which is, other than the taxpayers, is state aid. And then we're also going to realize two additional anticipated revenue sources. One of them is building aid on capital projects, as well as rebates that we will be getting from, I believe, National Grid and PSEG on our energy performance contract work that we're doing around the district. So that leaves us about 2/3 of the way down this sheet is the amount to be raised by taxes from the community. That's our commercial tax base and our residential tax base. From when we started talking about the budget back in January to where we are now, that is a decrease of about $442,509, a little less than 0.5%. And when we compare it to the current school year that we're in, to the budget that we're about to adopt, the amount to be raised by taxes, the increase is 1.99%, or $2,629,176. As I've done each presentation at the bottom of this screen, using the current estimated assessed valuation, the latest number that the town of Islip has provided to us, I broke that down into 3 separate scenarios. A home that might be assessed at $10,000, $30,000, and a home that might be assessed at $50,000. And I mentioned as well, those assessed values may vary widely from one home to another based on different exemptions that individual homeowners may have on their own particular pieces of property. So to give everyone an example here, if your home is assessed at $10,000, if we carry that line all the way over to the right side, we would estimate that the school taxes on that particular piece of property would increase about $38 for the year. A home that's assessed at $30,000, we estimate that increase would be about $114 for the year, in school taxes only, I'm talking. And then for a home assessed at $50,000, we estimate that increase will be about $191 for the year, just school taxes. So if anyone has a question about their particular piece of property and they would like to know specifically what the tax increase might be, I'm available to help with that. Any questions on this slide? Okay, next one, please, Jesse. Here I just took the different categories of the budget. We follow the state's account code structure from 1,000 account codes all the way up to the 9,000 account codes. And I just summarized them and I put it into a pie chart so you can see exactly how we spend the various expenditures here. This time we didn't include the detail of the line items. That detail is available on the website from the prior presentation. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Mylon.
So the employee benefits is basically 1/4 of the budget.
So you're looking at the pie chart?
Yes.
Yep, okay.
So could you just tell me what do you have listed under that?
So are you referring to that 9,000 to 9,099?
No, I'm referring to the 55 million.
Yep, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yes, sorry, I don't have my glasses.
Okay.
I apologize, yes.
All right, we're on the same page. Yep, so the bulk of that is really employee health insurance, but also it's for retirees, for retiree health insurance. It would be dental insurance, vision insurance. And when I say employee health insurance, I'm also talking about the employees who opt out. And we, by various contract, we issue them payments for not using the health insurance. So those are the major codes that add up to that 55,000.
It's 55,000?
About 55 million, sorry. Yep.
Yeah, so it's 1/4 of the budget.
Yep.
Okay, approximately.
Right.
Including in that, is that retirement as well?
That would be, hold on one second, let me get the detail here. You're talking about the individual retirement costs for instructional, for teachers, as well as for non-instructional?
Correct.
Okay, those codes, yes, those are 9,000 codes as well. So yes, to your question.
So wow, so 1/4 of the, 1/4 of the budget, it's pretty significant. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, the next slide, I believe this slide and the following one, I'll turn it over to Ms. Poppy for some explanations.
Thanks, Mr. Hauser. I wanted to share with you with pride some new courses that are being supported by the 2022-2023 budget. They include American Sign Language, which will be a world language elective course, broadcast journalism, which will be an art and English elective, CompTIA A+ Core 2, computer hardware and networking basics, emergency medicine, which is a science elective, interpersonal psychology and positive psychology applications, which are both social studies electives, which also carry college credit, and additionally, a PE elective entitled Social and Emotional Wellness Through Physical Education. That's a taste of the new course offerings that will be supported by this budget.
I am so excited to see American Sign Language and the broadcast journalism, which was the theme that we went to see at Hop On. You guys did a great job. All these things, the computer, the computer science elective that we spoke about, all these things, this is great. And the next page is even better too. Wonderful.
So Jesse, if we can head to that next page. And to continue the conversation, the following curricular initiatives are being supported by the 2022-2023 budget. Our FLES program in grades 3, 4, and next year in grade 5. So we are rounding that program up to include our 5th grade students. We will reinitiate Sequest in grades 4 and 5. We will go ahead and advance the computer science push-in instructional model in our middle schools in 8th grade as well as 7th grade classes next year. We will be offering CompTIA A+ coursework and certification exams, which was another board visitation highlight earlier this spring. We will continue to offer opportunities for students to explore computer science and IT career and college pathways. We're going to increase our college credit-bearing course offerings at the high school. We are initiating a cooperative career and technical education work experience or co-op program through our school to work office in the high school. And we are piloting a CDOS credential, a graduation credential, through a course called CDOS 1 Career Development. We are in our 2nd year of lifeguarding, and we will be offering unified bowling and cheer so long as there is enrollment for these programs to run, as well as intramural athletics for all, which is currently being offered this spring.
I gotta say, thank you to Mr. Mallory. I'm looking right at him. Thank you to you. Thank you to you, Christina Poppy, and thank you to Mrs. O'Hara, because seeing the unified bowling and the cheer intramural sports for all, meaning that the middle schools will get that too, and that is amazing and great, great news. And Lee, I want to say this to you. You told me once when you see these things that you fought for on there. I'm really happy for next year. Yeah. That for the kids, it's really, thank you for bringing all these wonderful initiatives and new courses that we had as a board spoken about. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for listening to the board and our incentives. What do you want? So are you allowed to say how you spent $100,000? Because I'm very excited. I know, I'm sorry, Christina. If I was excited, I knew I'm kind of putting you weren't, yeah, I know you weren't expecting to talk about it, but I think it's very exciting news for the middle schools.
So as a result of the board's request to have that $100,000 spent in both OBMS and RMS, we initiated some larger conversations involving administration and faculty in both buildings. And what we arrived at is a way to introduce our middle schoolers to new technologies and give them access to potential new career paths. So the proposition is to add laser cutters and drones to the 7th and 8th grade technology education program, and to rename our technology classrooms innovation centers.
Wow.
So thank you to the Board of Education for your very generous opportunity to invest in this program. Everybody seems incredibly excited about it, and we're looking forward to gaining some quotes to make some equipment purchases this year.
Christina, thank you so much for making so many of these courses and curriculum happen. Like, my heart is bursting right now.
Thank you. Thank you. Well,
thank you all.
Greatly appreciated. So, Christine, can I bust your chops for a second? Maybe next year I'll get mock trial? Because you seem to get things done. So
I'm writing it down. I'm writing it down.
I've been asking for mock trial a couple of times. Now I know you're going to get it done.
You'd be proud of me. I think it was with me and Marisol in that classroom with you when we went down to see the robotics. I think we spoke about mock trials.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Christina.
I can certainly work on that. Thank you.
Okay, the last slide here is just a reminder that the budget, that the proposed budget that the board is scheduled to adopt is under the New York State tax cap. And the budget vote, as I mentioned earlier, is scheduled for Tuesday, May 17th, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. And we would encourage everyone to please vote. Thank you.
I got a question. What can the budget go to? We stayed under by how much?
Sorry. We're under by about 0.25%, so I'd say around $500,000. We're under.
We're under by 0.33. Our cap was 2.32, and we're at 1.99.
Very good. Thank you, guys. You did a great job.
So at this point, I need a motion and a second to. Okay, and anyone have anything to say about the budget?
With all those added initiatives and courses, I'm impressed. Really, thank you. We're excited and.
Faculty and administration are doing tremendous work, and there's a real forward-thinking movement going on.
Okay. On Sunday, there was an article in Newsday about Long Island schools getting a record of more than $457 million in extra state financial aid for the fiscal 2022-23 year as part of a state budget that won lawmakers' final approval on Saturday. According to this article, this 12.69 hike boosts aid to a combined total of more than $4 million for the 120-plus districts between Nassau and Suffolk counties. So Suffolk state assistance would rise by 10.41%, or $235.33 million. The article also states that this is by far the biggest island-wide aid package in more than a decade, and most of the increases come in the form of foundation aid, which is the state's single biggest source of funding support for schools. So I wanted to ask you how this aid plays into our budget, along with the CRRSA and ARP funding that we're slated to receive for the next year or so. I mean, with that kind of aid coming to us, is there some sort of kickback for the taxpayers, especially considering the hard times of the last few years? People lost their jobs. They've been suffering financially and, rise in cost of living. So how does this, what I read on Sunday, on Sunday's Newsday, how does that affect us?
I can answer that. So the article and the information you're referring to in Newsday and the significant increase that the state proposed, many of the districts that are the recipients of those additional funds have not had their foundation aid restored to prior year's levels. The Connecticut School District, we have had our foundation aid stored, so unfortunately, we are not the recipient of that windfall of money that you're referring to. I think we were about a 3% increase in state aid when the net numbers, like you mentioned on Saturday, that were published. So, when you talk about the CRRSA, so that's the federal one-time monies that have come into the district, and perhaps Christina can help me with that. We've placed on the district website, there's 3 tabs, I believe, under district or under grants. The CARES Act, the CRRSA, and the American Rescue Plan, and the federal documents, our applications that were approved as to exactly how those monies are being spent. So when we talk about this budget that the board is about to adopt tonight, this budget does not factor in those federal monies. Those are separate monies we received and we account for separately, and it's spelled out on the district website.
Okay, so we're not going to be receiving any of this from the state?
I'm going to give you exact numbers if you don't mind, because that was also in Newsday. The percent change in total aid for Connecticut schools was 0.48% from 21-22 to 22-23. There were districts who got 21%, 19%. Thankfully, we're not middle country schools who got a negative percent change, negative 0.66. It was very unequal how they put that money out, and we were the recipient of 0.48% change in total aid.
Okay, okay, thank you for that.
I'm sorry, I had a little bit of a coughing fit, so I may have missed this, and this question may have been answered. But they trumpeted all this extra aid that New York State is going to give to the schools when they redid the budget, and how they were throwing money at everybody, you know. Did they throw any money our way? Did we get any extra money from that extra, I don't know, talk about 500 million or something they were throwing around?
So we're talking about the state aid? Mr.
State aid,
Napolitano?
yes, state aid. Did state aid, do we get any of that extra, do we get any more slices or a little slice out of that
So-
extra big bunch they were?
We got a very small slice. I'm not even sure it's a mouthful, to be honest. Connecticut got 0.48% change in total aid this year.
Extra on-
0.48 compared to last year.
Okay, that isn't this is like they made this big notice that, oh, we're giving all this extra state aid. Did we get any extra state
That's
aid
it.
out of that?
0.48% change. That's it.
Okay, great, thanks.
Anyone else that would like to speak? Have any questions? If not, I'll motion and a second to approve the 2022-23 budget in the amount of $207,420,876 and place it on the ballot for voter approval at the annual meeting on May 17th, 2022. May I have a motion? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion so carried. Okay, now talk about 2022, 23 property tax report card. Need a motion and a second to approve the property tax report card for 22, 23 school year. Motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion so carried.
Lee, can I just ask, are we sending out the pamphlet this year so that we can highlight all of these initiatives? And wonderful.
Yes, the answer is yes. Okay, now we're gonna go on to, discussion items. Parking issue at the high school fields. That would be Jackie.
Jackie, before you go,
First,
can I just say one thing on board discussions? Sorry, I know
Yeah,
this wasn't on there. So I just wanted to, because we highlighted a few programs today in the sports.
Oh, you're probably gonna bring up what me and Reza were. Go ahead.
I maybe.
Showcase?
No.
Okay, well, I'll do that.
So I wanted to highlight our music department and Mr. Malafonte and all of the music department. They were voted best communities for music education by the NAM Foundation, which is the National Association of Music Merchants. So I applaud them for all the work that they do and thank them for keeping the music and the arts alive.
Excellent. Excellent, and that's, actually, it goes right into the other one I was gonna bring up. Me and Rez were speaking because I ran into him at the Showcase of the Arts. We were looking at the art. It was a beautiful presentation district-wide of the Showcase of the Arts at the high school, seeing all the kids, I mean, starting from elementary school all the way up. I remember walking out and seeing a painting that I actually posted a picture on social media that was incredible. It was just incredible to see that how much the kids have done, starting from kindergarten all the way up, the beautiful artwork. And then I went into this auditorium, and we got to see, you know, they had the show, they had
Kick line and the color guard.
Color guard, that was with the flags. They did, it was beautiful. It was beautiful, and then they had the district-wide band too. So they really, it was a great day overall. I think the only issue that someone had brought up, and they weren't wrong, is getting in and out of the high school is definitely difficult, even though we gave times and all that, it was a little bit difficult. But other than that, it was a beautiful showcase, great job by all the students, staff, teachers, art, music, it was just incredible. On to the high school field. That was really only, we put that on because I needed John Allen for, it was about the, you weren't here the last meeting when I brought it up, about the parking issue at the high school fields. I wanted to know what could we do with that dead space that we have in the fields in regards to trying to get to the baseball without having to walk a mile, you know. Is there a way to make it more accessible, especially for people who may be handicapped, older people, people like me who are young and just don't want to walk that far, you know, with an injury, whatever the case is. I'm just saying, is there a way so that we can make it more accessible?
So I think there's two elements that need to be considered when we talk about creating a parking area up further into the fields. First would be safety. How can we ensure that cars are able to navigate back and forth to there without impacting all the students and staff and coaches that are going back and forth? I think that would involve widening the road out there so we could have two-way traffic. I think to have it go around the perimeter and put it in such close proximity to the upper turf field, the JV baseball field, and both softball fields, I think could be a huge safety issue. That's me saying that. I don't think this discussion has really been shared with Mr. Flynn. I think he would have to really chime in on that. But when we start talking about widening that road and adding a parking lot up there, we have a lot of steps that would have to be explored. The first thing, and it's one of the things that we did when we approved the last capital project, is we have to do a CEQA, which means we have to do an environmental impact. We would have to be adding paving up there, which means dry wells, curbs. We have to control the flow of water, the rainwater and everything up there. And that would also impact the area leading up to that parking lot. If it's something that is truly a consideration, I would say that that would be something to consider in the capital reserve when we move, if that gets voter approval in May, that capital reserve that's going to be created, because first and foremost, the expense, it's not something you'd want to incur without getting state aid on it. It is a substantial cost, and I don't know if I could even give you a back of the napkin estimate at this point, because I don't know exactly what would be entailed, but I think a substantial amount of fencing, lots of drainage, and then determining how much parking we're actually talking about. Because while you say the baseball game, the varsity baseball field, I could imagine that everybody who plays on that upper turf field would want that same access. I was up at the baseball game this afternoon myself, and I'd say we probably would have needed 60 to 70 parking spots up there in order to satisfy the crowd that was at that game. If there happens to be another game up on the upper turf field, we could be looking at 100, 125 parking spots, and how do you decide all that? If you'd like, I will reach out to Mr. Mallory, I'll reach out to Mr. Flynn. We'll discuss it, we'll see what they think as far as what could be done in a safety perspective. And then
Even if you made, I mean, I guess from my thing is more, what about for just making something for people who are handicapped, people who are elderly, or we can't, you know, it's a significant walk for somebody who has any sort of issues. And I do know that people have said to me, you can call security and they would be kind enough to drive, which is very nice.
Your security's there, then a lot of times we have a minibus, they take people.
I know you guys keep telling me that, but I've been to a lot of sports and I have never seen a minibus. Maybe I'm just not seeing it, I don't know.
It was there for playoffs.
Playoffs,
Yeah.
playoffs and
I mean,
championships.
I'm just saying for a regular game, grandma and grandpa that possibly can't, you know, walk that far, it's a significant walk. It's not like,
But security does take them out, and I know our athletic trainer also will take some people out. If, you know, she sees people struggling, she'll take people out. We do have that, and they can call security, and security will bring people out anytime they need to.
there's a lot of space out there. I mean, there is a lot of space
There
that, to be
absolutely is.
perfectly honest, I couldn't even believe isn't even graded, it
Utilized.
It
It's not
looks
utilized.
terrible. And as a matter of fact, if we're talking about safety, by the baseball off to the left, it is not safe over there. I know you guys filled in some of it, but it's
Right.
still,
And-
still, if a kid's running around or something, they could get injured easily.
Understood. And if you look at it 2 years ago, I actually had the groundskeepers come in and plant an entire row of arborvitaes there with the hopes that they would seal off that area and make it impassable, and the deer decided they liked it a whole lot better than we did. So I understand your concern. It's definitely not an area that I would enjoy seeing kids play around in. It may involve putting a fence up there now. You know, we do utilize that depression down there to get rid of some materials, some natural materials that aren't going to be, it doesn't make sense to pay to put them in a landfill. But, you know, putting something more permanent as opposed to vegetation, which I thought would be a good solution, certainly should be considered. As far as the parking and access, from a facility perspective, my role is pretty easy. I need somebody to decide what we're going to do, and then I make it happen. You know, or I share with the Board of Education and the community what the cost is going to be, and then I make it happen. As far as how athletics utilizes either the golf carts, how transportation gets involved utilizing buses, it's not something that really falls within my window, but I can certainly start that conversation with both Mr. Flynn and Mr. Mallory and see what other options that they could come up with.
Well, I heard, it was just that I felt very bad when I heard I was at the baseball opening day, and I heard parents saying that, I would have had my parents come, but this is very, it's, you know, for an
100%.
elderly person or a person, like I said, who's handicapped, it's definitely, you know, like I said, somebody who just has an injury. I had a difficulty walking there,
100%.
and I had the ankle injury.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I mean, I'm just saying from that standpoint, is there a way that we can make it accessible so that, you know, I want to make it accessible so that grandma and grandpa can get to games, so that somebody who is handicapped can always make it to see these children and cheer them on.
Yep.
So if there's something we can do, or if you could think something creatively and bring it to us, I would greatly appreciate just, you know, brainstorming to see what is there, anything we can do.
So, like I said, from a facility perspective, it's pretty simple. I build it, and I make sure it comes out right. I will try to get everybody in the room that may have other resources to see what their thinking is and how we might be able to accomplish it. You know, I'll try to bring everybody together and make that happen, but if it's going to be something involving transportation, I have absolutely no involvement in transportation. If it's going to be getting a dedicated golf cart that goes back and forth to there, I don't have anything to do with that and or staffing it. You know, so I can get those ideas, I can bring them forth. Without a doubt, I can do that.
Jackie, even something like, not even a golf cart, but like some kind of van that fits a dozen people, where on game days, it's an option where you can have a driver come back and forth in terms of cost-wise versus doing, you know, all that you talked about. Maybe a cheaper, quicker option.
I'm fine with that. Like I said, I just felt very bad when
Again,
people said,
that's not you, that's transportation.
No,
But it's something
understood.
that, why not have a shuttle bus that's way cheaper than doing an environmental study?
We did have a shuttle bus for the larger games. I don't know when. You're talking about baseball, right? You're strictly talking
Late,
baseball.
I'm talking about
Lee, I couldn't believe how far
on a daily
baseball
basis,
is.
there's baseball games out there. And there are people that just can't walk that far.
I gotta tell you, it's a
There's
beautiful.
also security cars there that they can ask.
Yeah, but they don't feel comfortable getting in the back of a small little Honda Civic or whatever it is, sitting down. I'm just saying it's a cheaper option to explore versus doing all that while
So
we're
you
in
want
the
to
process.
you want a school bus there all the time, is what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying on game days.
On
until-
game days, that's all.
Lee, can I finish, please?
Go ahead.
While they do the research to figure out if it's an option to get parking spots down there, what is a short-term option? That's all I'm asking, that you know, we can look into.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian. I personally, just like I said, I didn't like hearing from parents that there was people who couldn't go to see opening day baseball. I have to say the baseball field is magnificent, it's beautiful. But it's hard for people to get there that, like I said, I parked, and it doesn't matter where you park. I could park by the tennis courts. I actually parked on the other side thinking that would be shorter, and I ran into Brian. And when I said I had to go all the way back
100%.
there.
It's not just baseball, it's baseball, soccer, lacrosse, softball,
Right.
everything is out there.
Yeah, well, it's, like I said, it's far. I'm used to just going to track, soccer, it's tennis, it's all right there.
Understood. So let me get the people in the room. Let me see if we can have a conversation. Let me see what, they come up with as far as ideas. And if there's anything, it's easy enough to share it through the FYI, so we don't have to wait for a board meeting or anything else. Get some ideas flowing, and we'll take it from there. Are you cutting me off, Jesse?
Your time is up, George.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it, and like I said, it would be really nice so that the kids can have as many, spectators, especially after the last 2 years of not having sports and not having spectators.
I totally agree.
Thank you, John.
The only other thing I have on here, Lee, and it may not be on the second copy, but it's on here, and I know that the superintendent already said that it was sent, but I'd like to still say, the 2022 Congressional Art Competition. It looks like something very interesting, especially since we have such talented kids here. Really, after seeing the Showcase of the Arts, I hope that we partake in this, because I would love to see a Connect student win.
It's a great idea, Jackie.
Teachers have options to have the kids join, or?
So anytime I get a competition notice, really doesn't matter who it comes from, I forward it to either the principal of the buildings that could make it happen or the director in order to have them disseminate it to their teachers and at a meeting or even just by email. So everything that comes my way that our kids could be honored by entering and potentially winning, that builds their portfolio for them to be more successful to get into their college of choice. So, we have amazingly talented kids. We do. Yep.
That is incredible.
I do it for the Arboretum. They have an art contest, and right? They didn't really do much participating. 25 school districts joining that art contest, 3rd grade.
This girl, I'm serious.
Oh, no, I've seen it. If you walk the halls in the high school and look at the murals they painted on the walls, they're amazing, especially upstairs on the 2nd floor.
I put something on. Okay, so it's been a few years since my 2 kids were in 5th grade, 6th grade, and has the sex education curriculum changed over these few years? Because they make me feel older. I don't want to say a lot of years, but I remember my children coming home and we have a discussion of what was being mentioned that day. Has it changed? Can you share with the community?
Sure, the health standards have changed, and Mr. Moore is still in the audience, so he would probably be much better at speaking to it than I would. This is why I forward things to people, because the expertise is here, but all of the standards continually evolve. Oh, I let him know.
The ever so popular puberty education. So 3 years ago, we did revamp the entire 5th grade puberty education curriculum because it was outdated, quite frankly. So Louis Melfi had a big hand in that, our health teacher that is teaching the puberty ed piece, and he did a phenomenal job. The film itself, we used a different film than the film they used to show. He does a great job with the question and answer sessions because he ensures that all the questions are confidential. So no one is embarrassed to ask a question because nobody knows who asked the question. I reviewed the curriculum. I actually sent the PowerPoint, all the information to Ms. Poppy. She could certainly share it with the board if they would like to see it. What's nice is I know there's a big push and focus on mental health, and that is actually incorporated in the new curriculum specifically for young girls. There's a piece, a segment in there about how they shouldn't succumb to the media pressure to have to look good. It's a really important, it's a lot of pressure on young girls in that way, and that's actually built into the puberty ed piece. So it's very different than when we went to school. It's current, yet any, shall I say, controversial or dicey topics they don't really delve into. And if a student asks a question that could be construed by the teacher at all as controversial, the basic answer is that is something you should discuss with your parents. So that's kind of where we are. It's gone very well. We have had a lot of positive feedback from the parents. We usually get, quite honestly, anywhere from 1 to 3 complaints a year. But when you talk about the hundreds of kids throughout the district in 5th grade that receive this education, puberty education, I think we're doing pretty well. And of course, most importantly, the parents can review the entire curriculum, including the film, before their 5th grade children actually take the course. And they ask a lot of questions, and we actually, before COVID, when we did it live, it was actually kind of fun, and we had a lot of good feedback.
I gotta say, I think it's better in person because I recall last year, my son was in 5th grade, and I do recall them doing it and doing the puberty education online, and it was just not good. The chat, the kids, they're being kids, but it's a very hard subject to teach, I would think. When some of the kids are probably more mature. I know we've always said that the girls are more mature than the boys at that age, for the most part. I know my son is not that, like, I know he came home as a parent, I can tell you, came home and asked a bunch of questions, and I'm like, hey, how's dinner? How's it go?
It's
definitely give the teachers a lot of credit who teach it. It's difficult.
I do agree, in person. Hopefully we can get back to in person next year. I think especially the meeting with the parents, because I think the parents felt very comfortable in person once they saw Mr. Melfi, and I was there myself, deliver the curriculum, and I think they felt comfortable. And as soon as that first parent asks a question, it kind of opens the floor. And I felt that the parents went home relieved. I felt they came to the meeting nervous, especially if it's the first child, right? First time, these changes, and is this really happening? And they left relieved. That's what I felt.
Thank you, because I mean, I'm sure you may watch the news, maybe not watch the news. So, you have parents that are concerned, what is being taught. And I've said to parents, you have a choice to opt in or opt out, but you have the ability to see what it looks like before you make that choice of opting in and opting out, what you felt would be appropriate for your children. So thank you for elaborating.
Absolutely, and we'll make sure we give the parents advance notice. We do send a letter home to every 5th grade parent, so they have some time to make sure they can make the meeting. We've had parents that missed the meeting, and we recorded it, and we were able to send them a link, and they could review everything as well, even if they missed the meeting.
Can you still do that? Because I like that for the parents who maybe couldn't get off work to have that link. Will you still do that?
Absolutely.
And one other question. Do the 5th graders do they still have the class where it's boys in one class and girls in the other, and then they come together in 6th grade? Is that correct?
They're all together in 6th grade health, but the puberty ed program, the push-in program in 5th grade, some of the lessons they are together, and then when they get to some of the more specific points, especially the film, they watch the film separately.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
I need a motion for the consent agenda, items 2 through 9.
Motion.
Second? Second. Any discussion? No. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Question. Does everyone know about the new date for the Dorney trip? Was that already put out?
I don't know, because I think they probably waited for you folks to approve it, but they may have already communicated that. I can
Okay.
find that out.
As long as we get that out to them, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm a yes.
Okay, I call for personnel items, instructional, non-instructional. Oh, we didn't do that. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion so carried. Okay, personnel matters. I call for a motion and a second to approve the instructional and non-instructional personnel items as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion so carried. So now I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Have a happy holiday and a very safe vacation.